Good morning, friends. The objective of this particular session is just to answer some of the questions which I have been receiving since the last few days when we announced our next certification program. And I thought I could take this opportunity to speak to a number of persons who may have such doubts or may uh, like to get more clarifications on this certification program. This is actually a cordial invitation from my side for every one of you to join the movement of data protection professionals in India, which is what we are representing in the form of FDPPI. As you know, India is entering a new era of regulatory regime for protection of privacy through data protection, for which a personal data protection bill has been already drafted and it is there with the parliament. A joint parliamentary committee is now looking at fine-tuning this bill before the next parliamentary session. A data protection authority may be in place by this time next year and start rolling out regulations in detail one by one. We as professionals need to gear up to the challenges of this new emerging era, which is likely to cause a lot of disruption in the industry, both for the organizations who will be called data fiduciaries or data processors, or the people themselves, the professionals who are today calling themselves as information security professionals, and tomorrow they will have to look at another person coming up as a data protection officer. So there will be disruption both at the organizational level as well as at the professional level. We need to gear up to these challenges. At FDPPI, we are off the block before everybody else. We set up this organization in November 2018. Since then, we are having several training programs, awareness building measures to prepare the people for the upcoming FDPPI's, the regime of Data Protection Act as and when it comes up. Obviously, we feel that the earlier we start, perhaps we will be able to be ahead of others in the finishing line. When the act actually comes up, there is going to be a data protection authority. He is going to ask on all the data fiduciaries, will ask what is your policy for privacy by design, and so on. So we hope that we will help organizations to keep ready before the time runs out. Therefore, we have started a movement to mobilize the professional workforce to be ready to meet these challenges the new law will bring in. This movement is what we call as FDPPI, the Foundation of Data Protection Professionals in India. Technically, FDPPI is an organization of the data professionals, of the data protection professionals, by the data protection professionals, and for the data protection professionals. Yes, FDPPI has not been started by the government. It has not been started by any industry body. It has not been started by any company. It has been started only by individual professionals like you and me. It is structured as a Section 8 company, not for profit, and it will be led by professional work groups working in different cities. There will be a small board behind the scene, but the activities will be done by these regional councils, which we are setting up in different cities. Presently, we have such regional councils in Bengaluru, Mumbai, Delhi, and Chennai. We want to expand to more cities, to more people. Even in these cities, we want new people to join and expand. So this is our charter for the coming few months. Along with this setting up of FDPPI as an organization of the professionals so that they can represent their views with the Data Protection Authority as and when it comes up, FDPPI has created a globally unique certification program titled Certified Expert Data Protection Professional, or CEDPP. This CEDPP is a 5-module certification program to empower the professionals with the knowledge and skills required to be an ideal data protection professional. At the center of this program is Module I, which is the module on Indian laws. Presently, Indian laws start with Information Technology Act.
महाराज ये जो आपका बिल गेट्स ना जो सबसे
Registration,
ज्यादा स्टॉक में पैसा लगाता है आपको पता है आपको एक
from
घंटा में 3
the
4
Supreme
बुक पढ़
Court
जाता है
and the Data Protection Bill,
वही
which
तो बोल
is
रहे थे उन लोग का चीज है कि
coming
वो
up.
बहुत तरह का चीज पढ़ता है
So presently the Indian laws center around the Information Technology Act, the proposed bill, and behind that is the Supreme Court, which defines the privacy laws. Now the next module to be supplementing the current module will be Module G, which is the module on global laws, which will cover GDPR, Singapore laws, CCPA, and we don't know, maybe we will add other key laws to the kitty, so that a professional who gets this certification will have a fair awareness of multiple laws which may be relevant to an organization or a company which he serves in India. There will also be a module on technology. There will also be a module on data audit. There will also be a module on behavioral skills. So looking at all these 5 modules together, it represents an effort to build a comprehensive skill set in a person who can call himself confidently as a data protection professional. And I hope that this thought process will be appreciated. Right now, we have been focusing on conducting this module I, where we have conducted several programs, some of which are directly related to certification, some of which even without certification we have conducted awareness programs. Right now, we are planning to have our next batch of CDPP Module I starting from 6th June as a weekend batch. It will consist of 12 hours of training online, 2 weekends, 2 sessions each day, 1 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon. Each session will be 90 minutes, so that overall it will be a 12-hour training. During this training, we will try to discuss things in such a manner that the participants should be able to learn about privacy as a concept, which is a legal concept, then its relevance to information technology, information security, and for other legal professionals who work as compliance officers in organizations. It will also discuss about how ITI 2000 addresses privacy and every aspect of personal data protection bill, both the things which people like and things which people may not like, everything we will be discussing in this particular program, with an additional assurance that a free online update session will be provided to all the participants who undergo the programs which we conduct prior to the bill becoming an act, so that when it actually becomes an act, if there is a difference between the bill and the act, we will separately cover that in this update module, which can be 1 session or multiple sessions, anything which is required. If the entire PDPB is going to be replaced with another act, we will give a free program to provide the entire, at least bridge the gap between the current provision and what is being proposed. Yes, there is a price for the certification. Module I is presently priced at 15,000 rupees, which is inclusive of lifetime membership of FDPPI. Currently, the membership of FDPPI is held at a very, very moderate rupees 5,000 only for individuals. It is expected to be increased subsequently, but right now this 5,000 rupees is included in this particular module price. 10,000 rupees balance will include training and evaluation through an online examination, which will happen after the training program is over, subject to a specific schedule to be fixed up. There is not much time to decide, both because lockdown is ending and you will get busy with other routine, and also because this program we are now talking of will start next weekend. Therefore, whoever is interested, please don't miss this opportunity. Try to enroll today, and you are going to join a movement which may gather momentum and grow big. It is like joining a startup. Rewards will follow in due course. Thank you, friends. This is what I wanted to basically share with you. In case there are any questions, I would be quite happy to answer.
Sir, this is Gulam here.
Yeah.
So what is the difference between DCPLA and this course?
You're talking of DSCI's course?
Yes, correct.
See, DSCI is presently an organization promoted by NASSCOM, and it also took a stand which was not in favor of the personal data protection bill. Fine. And it is an organization-led, you can say, activity. They will continue to do what they want to do. Presently, they may be having a privacy certification program based on whatever input they consider it as essential. What we have done is we have designed this program as something which is based entirely on the personal data protection bill. Of course, behind that is the Supreme Court judgment in the privacy case, Puttaswamy case, and we are going to discuss in depth the Indian privacy law, though at points of time where it is necessary, we will be referring to GDPR and other international laws. So the focus will be on the Indian law. I am not very much sure at this point of time that PDPB is integrated into the DSA program. Maybe in future they will also do. Say this is not something which is proprietary to us. It is a knowledge base which is available. Anybody can do that. And FDPPI in particular would like to continue this training program and a certification, and to bring all these certified people into one community of data protection professionals. There we distinctly differ from DSCI, which will continue to be an organization managed and controlled by the top 10 companies in India, maybe more, okay, in terms of members. But we are a professional group led by the professionals. That itself should bring a lot of difference when we come to certain controversial issues where the individual professionals may have a view which is independent of the organization. So that is all I would like to say. Otherwise, we are happy if DSCI also comes up with their own program, including PDPB. If they also try to integrate with whatever we are doing, we are quite happy with that. Okay.
Hi, I have just put up a question there on the chat box.
Yeah.
Wanted to know how is it different from the standard 27701 PIMS, which is laid down very clearly whatever is required for privacy, or GDPR guidelines which are also there. The standard is very clear and it's everything is laid down. That's the first part of the question. Second part of the question is, who is the approving body for your certification?
Okay. Now, as far as GDPR and 27701 is concerned, 27701 is a standard, okay, started by ISO. It will perhaps try to help you be compliant with GDPR, fine. GDPR is a EU law, okay. GDPR focuses on the protection of privacy of personal data emerging from the EU area. We are talking of Personal Data Protection Bill, which tries to protect the personal data emerging from the Indian scenario. We are led by the Indian Act. GDPR is led by the EU regime. The two are different. It is not that if you know GDPR, you don't have to know PDPB or the Indian Act when it comes. That is different. This is different. You apply GDPR for the EU information. You apply Singapore PDPA for Singapore information. You apply the CCPA for Canada, California information. So each of the sets of personal information coming from different countries of origin will have to be managed with different sets of law, and what we are talking of is pertaining to Indian law. That is as far as GDPR is concerned. Now 27701 is just a set of technical standards or the method of going through it. We are actually trying to adopt the best practices internationally, and we are focusing on something called Personal Data Protection Standard of India, which should, without forgetting what are the best practices in BS 10012 or BS 27701, we are going to make it compatible to the PDPB, which is likely to become an act as it maybe in a 6 months time. In fact, 27701 will not address completely the compliance requirement of PDPB. Okay, it might have come from ISO, fine. It may have the general principles of protection, which is also relevant for this, but still, if you are 27701 compliant and certified, it doesn't mean that your company will escape all the liabilities under the Indian PDPA. So therefore, the organizations need to look at the compliance of Indian PDPB separately. Now, if you want to use ISO 27701 as the template, you are welcome to use that. If you want to adopt it and use the Personal Data Protection Standard of India PDPSI, you are welcome to use it. If you want to develop your own framework, which is what Indian government wants each industry to set up a structure for themselves, you are welcome to do that. So the structure of a framework is different from the law. Law is different. The a framework for compliance or standard is different. So let us keep that those two as separate. Okay.
Sir, Prasanna here.
Yeah.
I would like to know what is going to be the role of the professionals in coming years.
Okay. Say what these data protection laws indicate is that every organization will designate a person to have the responsibility. You may address him as a data protection officer or whatever is the name. Okay. GDPR has said that you can outsource the data protection officer work. So it is much easier there. You can find one professional organization and say, you are my data protection officer. Indian law does not provide for that as of now. Okay. Which means that you have to find a person who is an employee of your organization, who is in your salary register, and he should be designated as the DPO. Which means that you must find at least one person who can understand the Indian law and guide the entire organization, starting from advising the CEO on what business policies he should follow, to the technology people, how they have to structure their processes. He has to also talk to the compliance officers about how the law regarding personal data protection may be different from what they know in terms of litigation. When it comes to adjudication, he may have to work with the people who represent the company in the adjudication, and the privacy by design policy development is something which no single individual can develop. He has to provide assistance in that. Data protection impact assessment reports which are created by different divisions in the organization, he has to vet it and take it to the DPA for sanction. So there are a lot of things which DPO has to do, and if we really take this role seriously, a DPO will be a person who will directly report to the board, and he will be not below any other, you can say CXO in the organization. That is the role. Now, some of the existing CTOs and CISOs would like to move into this role. Some of the legal compliance people also would like to move into this role. So this role is going to become a coveted position in an organization, and only persons who are adequately qualified, in the sense qualification doesn't only flow from some organization or something like that, by knowledge. Okay, if you have the right knowledge, then only you will be able to take up this position. So therefore, the professional workforce will have a completely new regime as we come nearer to the particular implementation. I forgot to answer one more point which the earlier person raised, which is about accreditation or something of that nature. Okay. See, as of now, you know, personal data protection is still a bill, has not become an act. There is no data protection authority as of today. So the question of a government authority recognizing somebody and accrediting has not arisen as of now. When the DPA comes, DPA will give accreditation for data auditors. DPA may provide its own guidelines on the qualities or skill sets required by the data protection officers, and then that may become a guideline for training DPOs in future. But whatever they say, the knowledge of personal data protection has to be there, and we have already started putting that in place. So we are not waiting for one government body to come up and say, I invite applications for people for accreditation, etc., etc. Let it come. At that time, it is for these organizations to decide whether they should go for somebody who can create value by way of knowledge, or they can go to somebody who has got something like, if you have already conducted 100 GDPR programs, you will be perhaps accredited in India. If somebody makes such a crazy rule, let us see how it comes. Or they may say that the organization which conducts training programs or certification programs should have 100 crores capital. We know that certain things like that do happen, because people who cannot compete on the basis of quality try to compete on the basis of other parameters, and in knowledge transfer, there is no relationship to the capital value of the authority or organization, or whether it is a registered, let us say, university or something like that. So we are presently ignoring that possibility. We will see when it comes, when the data protection authority comes, we will try to present ourselves and try to tell them that even before the data protection authority has come into being in India, we are the only organization in India which has been working on this field for the last 2-3 years. Then I'm sure that the DPA will consider that as a qualification in itself. Okay. Now, so at present, there is no other approving authority for certification. It is being issued from FDPPI, which is a Section 8 company, not-for-profit company, and that is the organization which is giving the certification. Training should be conducted by training partners. The present program is being conducted directly by me as part of Cyber Law College, which is a training partner. In future, we will be having more training partners, not only for this module I, but also for other modules. Then we will still control the evaluation program, the online examination, and the training will be spread out to as many people as possible. And all of them will try to develop the certified people on a particular standard. Okay. Murali, are you satisfied? Yeah, any other questions?
Sir, the question is on the, this is for more towards legal and process professionals, or from the applicable from the technology people as well?
In fact, it is more for the technology people, because
Okay.
the legally trained people, you give them the copy of the act, they can very well go through that and perhaps draw a lot of understanding on their own. Technology people actually require a little more handholding in understanding the interpretation of the law. However, the legal people also, because this is a techno-legal law, so when it comes to anonymization, pseudonymization, a law professional will not understand what it is. So just as Information Technology Act fell between the technology and the legal people because of digital signature, hashing, asymmetric crypto system kind of terms, this act also is not entirely something which a pure lawyer with an LLB qualification can fully understand. But he will be able to understand generally the principles there. Technology persons, particularly those who are already exposed to GDPR discussions, either because their clients have been bombarding with them with the GDPR compliance requests, some of them are compliant to HIPAA, so they already have much more knowledge on data protection than the legal professionals. But they are today primed up to see everything from the GDPR angle, but PDPB being different, it will be necessary for existing GDPR experts to unlearn some of the things which they have already learned and relearn it as PDPB talks about. The very fact that PDPB calls a data controller as a data fiduciary is a concept which makes this law totally different from GDPR, and the data controller's obligations therefore look to be much less compared to the obligations which the data fiduciary will have in India. So therefore there will be a difference. I am not undermining the knowledge base cultivated by GDPR experts, both because GDPR has been in existence for some time, WP guidelines have been there on many of the aspects, and even before GDPR came, the EU directives were there. We were all studying that. So people who were familiar with the EU model, they have already accumulated a lot of knowledge. Only difference is when a new law comes, and this is a law which is applicable to the operations in India, there is a need to relearn. That is what I am trying to highlight. So therefore, this is relevant even for people who are having, let us say, CIPP certifications. Not all the persons who are having CIPP certifications have studied Indian PDPB. So how can you entrust them the data protection officer's role in India just because he knows what is to be done in Germany or France? We want somebody who knows what is to be done in India. So if you are a CEO, you will look for somebody who knows about Indian law. It's a bonus if you also know about other laws. But if you say, I know only about GDPR, I don't know anything about Indian law, I will not consider him eligible to be appointed as a DPO under the Indian context. So therefore, there is a need to learn about this Indian law. Maybe concepts are similar. At least when you know one concept and you are having an open mind to look at another concept, just to see how this new concept is different from the earlier concept, you make a better person with a better knowledge of both the laws. You will know why GDPR says something like this, now why Indian law is saying something different, which is better. That evaluation people with the knowledge of both can do. That is why when we go into the global module, we will be looking at least 3 major laws, that is GDPR, CCPA and Singapore law, with a few other laws to discuss the implications in the Indian context. Okay. Somebody has again asked about 10,012. 10,012 and 27701, they are standards technical standards and controls. They are not compliance documents per se. They are tools of compliance. They are not the compliance. And both of them have been drawn to be compliant with GDPR, not with PDPB. Let us see if there is a new version which comes for Indian law. Then perhaps that will be the framework which you can look at. But even to implement that framework, you need the knowledge of Indian laws. Okay. I suppose I have answered Srini and Murali together. Do you provide any consultant services? That you have to look at FDPPI and Navi separately and then see that. I don't want to answer it here. Yes, we will give. We are trying to be specialized in the data protection area. We are encouraging corporates to become members of FDPPI, and we will conduct training programs for their employees. Beyond that, consulting opportunities, if they come, there are two kinds of consulting which we do. One is certain cases, the FDPPI will get the relevant members. We have created a body called supporting members. The supporting members will be delivering services which inquiries received through FDPPI under a revenue sharing program. Beyond this, some of the supporting members or others may have their own consulting opportunities. So if FDPPI is not interested in taking it up as a part of the FDPPI's consulting wing, we will let individuals to take their own consultancy practices, because we are a organization created by professionals. Obviously, every professional has got his own independent activity which can be consulting, or he may be an employee somewhere. So those who are not employees but are having their own consultancy organizations, they sometimes come across a situation where either they can alone conduct a consultancy program for which inquiry has come through the FDPPI. We have a certain formula under which revenue would be shared. Sometimes one supporting member may invite another supporting member to help him, so that 2 or 3 supporting members can come together and jointly offer a consulting service. For example, one person may be an expert in law, another may be in technology. They may come together, and in such cases, the revenue could be shared between FDPPI and the other supporting members. So we have created a module where members can pursue their vocation, revenue generating vocation, without being in conflict with the FDPPI's objectives. Okay. Yeah.
Sir, about this course, there's some kind of a knowledge sharing, or some of the things related with cyber security aspects.
See, when we come to the technology, perhaps we may be going a little more into the tools of data protection. Okay, but in the current module I, where the basic focus is on equipping people with the knowledge of PDPB, there is only one session in which we will be discussing the technology aspects. Another session where we will be talking about the auditing and data governance and those issues. Whereas detailed technical issues are not discussed in the module I. Maybe in module T we may discuss. There also, we would not like to make this a technology course. We are going to put the DPO as the center, and what technical information he needs to know to appreciate the tools which are required for data protection, and to take decisions in environments of artificial intelligence and big data, where the data protection officer is supposed to give his views on the processes and take it to the DPA and get it approved. So he needs to have an understanding of what is an AI algorithm, how it functions, and those things. So to that extent, our technology module will also focus on data protection related requirements. We are not going to recreate technology related training, or even something equivalent to your CISSP or CISM and other things. This will be only looking at if a law person becomes a DPO, he will not have much of grounding in technology. So we want him to be aware of the technology aspects of data protection. What is a DLP software? If you are presented with 2-3 DLP software and you are asked to give your views, will you be in a position to take a decision on that and tell the CISO or CTO, I prefer this software instead of that software, kind of a thing. So that much of awareness of technology we want to build in the module on technology. Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. See this.
Navi, the other question which I had was more like what is the long-term view of FDPPI? Because right now it seems to be a mix, because you set it up as a Section 8 company. So is it about providing knowledge and best practices from India world over, or you know, keeping people updated about PDPP? But on the other hand, when you say you're looking for corporate membership, it looks more like a consulting organization kind of a setup. So little confused in terms of what is the purpose of FDPPI.
Okay. Now, when we look at corporate members, what I am looking at is a company has got employees within their fold. There will be a 10-member team in the legal compliance team, some 10-member team in the CISO. So I am looking at them as an aggregation of the employees. Okay. Otherwise, our focus is on the people, because this is a company that is a Section 8 company limited by guarantees. What we mean by limited by guarantees is, irrespective of the amount of membership fee which we may collect, which will be collected as a donation kind of a concept, not as equity, the voting rights will be only one. So a company which wants to invest, let's say 25,000 rupees in a corporate membership, will still have only one vote, but we will be giving them an option to nominate 5 of their employees for the purpose of the certification programs, or in future when we have more of such knowledge enhancement programs which may be priced, some limited seats could be there, so we'll restrict it to members. Those membership benefits in terms of knowledge and certification will be extended to the people. Now, on the other hand, if a company wants our consultancy, that one of our supporting members may be able to provide that kind of a service, where that supporting member will provide the service and some royalty will be shared with the FDPPI, because the inquiry has come through FDPPI. We will try to ensure that there is no conflict between corporate interest and individual's interest. In fact, this will be one of the differentiations which we would like to build between an organization like DSCI and us. We are more people oriented. Having said this, I must say that this is a concept which is developing, and in future, up to today, let us say I am driving this because of my commitment to this. But as we go forward, when more and more of professionals join, this will be driven by you, not by me. I will be only one of the several people. So I would like, in terms of vision, I am looking at how ICAI developed into an organization which government at one point in time recognized and made that as a body representing the chartered accountants for all legal purposes. So I am trying to have a platform bringing all the so-called data protection professionals into one community, so that they will be collectively having some value for what is their opinion. If their opinion is different from what an NASSCOM says, I would like DPA to consider FDPPI's opinion with equal respect compared to the views of NASSCOM or any other organization. So this is the kind of vision I am having. Let me see how it will grow. But in future, it is for the people to actually come together and ensure that this develops. Today, ICAI is such a big organization that it has almost become a sort of a regulatory body for itself, for the chartered accountants. I don't know where we will be ending up, but if people say there are 5 lakh data protection professionals in India, I don't see why a majority of them should be part of an organization like FDPPI. today we are small, we are running a little informally, but as we go forward, we will make it into a formal organization. Today we are running on a no budget kind of a basis. So we are having a lot of constraints. But as we grow big, we will also become a body like a CII, we will become a body like ICAI or Company Secretaries Association. Then this community of data protection professionals will have a voice. We are also coming up with a journal very shortly. So there are various ways where we would like to bring it to the notice of the regulatory authorities about what is good for the community. If we believe that professionals are those people who are interested in ensuring that their domain actually grows on a healthy way, because if the domain grows, then every professional also grows up. If that is the belief, then this organization should have a good, you can say, ability to talk to DPA and then come up with some suggestions from time to time. We at FDPPA are trying to create shadow documents like what WPE has been doing. We have professionals who have drafted documents for ISO and other things. So I am trying to request them, if you can draft a document for ISO, why don't you draft a document for the indigenous requirement? And as and when they turn towards this made in India concept, perhaps I will be having the professionals who can create the internationally acceptable standards and documents to look at FDPPA supported Indian requirements. And that is the vision I am talking of, which only professionals like you in large numbers, when you join, we will be able to realize. Until that time, I am like a catalyst who is trying to drive everybody, and let us see how far it goes until it crosses that critical point and it expands into a big movement. Okay. So friends, if my intention was just to introduce this program, and also because a few people are sending me emails about what is FDPPI, why I should join, what will be my benefit, etc. I just thought of having this interaction. I hope it has been of use, at least to give some clarity. So again, I would request all of you who are interested in being part of this data protection professional community in India to join this movement and help us all grow together. We will ensure that this, as a startup, will grow into such a situation where DPA will give us some kind of respect and perhaps give us value when it comes to taking important decisions affecting the professionals and the industry. Okay, thank you. If there is no other question, we should think of winding up. Okay. Any further details you can always get from the website. Thank you once again.
Thank you.